I literally like rubbed my eyes like a cartoon character to make sure that I wasn't like seeing things. Hey Puzzle Buddies, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a challenge from Speed Puzzle Pals. Now if you've been here before, you would have seen me mention them on the channel before. In fact, we did this challenge before. We're going to try it again. And I feel like today I think we'll do better this time. So Speed Puzzle Pals is an online like group, and every week they put out like a different challenge for everyone to just kind of participate in. Sometimes it's pretty straightforward, like just speed puzzle this puzzle and then record your time. And sometimes it's a bit more complicated or has some more steps. So this challenge is to do the speed puzzle one row at a time. And it's always with a Ravensburger puzzle. I think it's just because that's the brand that a lot of speed puzzlers typically have. And so typically every week they pick a puzzle and they say, okay, this is the puzzle we're doing. Here's the challenge, go forth and prosper. Now, the last time that they issued out this challenge, I didn't have the puzzle that they actually like were doing the challenge with. So I just picked a random one from White Mountain. In fact, I'll link that video if you want to watch it. But this time I actually have the puzzle that this challenge is for. And I think it's like the perfect puzzle for this whole like one row at a time thing. So that's what we're going to do. The puzzle we are doing for this challenge is Disney and Pixar Color Palette. This is the one that I got from Hobby Lobby. Y'all saw in that like shop with me / haul that I did a few weeks ago, a month ago, something like that. So now we have a chance to actually do this puzzle and I'm excited. In fact, let me read you the like official rules so that way we can make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, so this is the puzzle. It is Disney Pixar Color Palette. And it says rules: do not start the timer. Okay, first open the box and put the pieces on the table. Flip the pieces, take out the edges, and build the border. Then start your timer. You must complete the puzzle one row at a time. You can complete the rows horizontally or vertically. You can jump to the next row if you have two pieces missing from that row. So like if you have the row mostly done, but you're missing two, you can skip ahead. The aim is to do it row by row. It's okay if you get stuck. You can kind of move on, blah, blah, blah. And wait a minute, what is today's date? Wait, you guys, this is the first time that Speed Puzzle Pals has put out a challenge for a puzzle that one, I have the puzzle, and two, I'm actually doing it in time that I could submit this for like the leaderboard. This is literally the first time this has ever happened to me. Okay, because the deadline for this one is Wednesday, August 19th, and today is the 17th. So I can give this a try and then I can finally put my name like on the leaderboard. I'm not saying I'll be at the top, but I'll be included in the ranking. So that's actually pretty cool. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to unbox the puzzle. It's just Ravensburger. Y'all have seen it before. And I'll go ahead and dump out the pieces, flip them all over. I'll do the border, and then we're going to get started with speed puzzling. I'm not too sure what my time will be. I think if I was just doing this one outright, I might be around like an hour and a half. But doing it a row at a time, if you watched the last time I tried this challenge, it can be a little bit tricky. So I'm curious as to how this is going to go. Still, my goal is like an hour and a half. So let's see how I do. Okay, so we're trying out some things. Y'all know I'm always doing something. So we've got a top-down view. Ooh, I think it's better. And hopefully this time I fixed the whole autofocus thing that was having issues with the last video. Also, I brought scissors. Y'all know I was like tearing the box apart in the last one. Okay. And this time the box was tearing me apart. Okay, me and the scissors versus the box. We were fighting. Finally, I got the box open, took the pieces out of the bag. The bag, I will say, it felt different. It felt slightly thicker than what I'm used to with the Ravensburger bag. I don't know if this is like a newer puzzle. I don't know if it was like a different manufacturer. I don't know. The bag felt different. Anywho's, I was doing my full flip and pulling out the edges. And I will say I'm pretty proud of my like space management with this one. I guess maybe because I wasn't timing myself quite yet, I was able to just kind of like focus and really pay attention to where I was putting the pieces. So I had all the pieces off to the left and then just my border kind of off to the right side. I started building it and I started off with the red pieces. And for whatever reason, I could not figure out what was going on with the reds. I went ahead and skipped to the pink section and that was going a little bit better, but still, I was like, what's going on with the border? Finally, I just gave up and started to do more of like the gradient, which is going more horizontally versus vertically. And then I finally was getting the pieces together. I had the border pretty much all done. It was just down to like the reds and the yellows left. And then I was basically done except for some pieces on the edge. All right, my puzzle table is now good and dusty. Thank you, Ravensburger. And I've got my border built. I kind of thought that this was going to be a square because the box is square, but it is in fact a rectangle. In fact, let me make sure that the front actually has the whole picture. Yes, I guess it's just squished more. Okay, yeah. So I'm just going to use the front of the box as my reference, although I don't know what this is because the Ravensburger symbol covers this Scooby-Doo looking situation. Um, Again, since the border's already done, really my time should be somewhere closer to like an hour 20, theoretically. We're going to see. I think I am going to build it a vertical row at a time. Typically, I think I would kind of go horizontally, but the color gradient goes vertically. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to start with the reds. Somehow I missed two border pieces, both from the pink section. Interesting, unless I did the border wrong, which I don't think I did. I did check it, but I could be wrong. So I'm going to get started and let's see how this goes. I went ahead and started off with the red side, pretty much just like how I had planned to. And honestly, that was the only plan that I had. I realized as I was working that the each column of the characters really kind of follows like the same situation. They are three pieces wide. And so it's like on the leftmost side, you have just kind of like the edge of them. The middle piece really is like their face, and then the right edge is just kind of whatever else there is. So since that left border was already built, I could kind of focus on the faces next. And then after that came just the edges, and then moving on to the next kind of row of characters. When I was doing my flip and everything, I didn't really do any sorting. I really wanted to do my best not to sort anything out, even though like I could see like certain characters or certain pieces were sticking out to me. So as I was working, I also kind of didn't want to like do too much sorting. But the thing is, like when you're working, I was kind of finding like, for example, I was working on anger. And so like I was finding other anger pieces, but I knew that they didn't go to the column that I was working on. And so what I ended up doing while I was puzzling was I would have this like kind of pile up at the top where I would put the pieces that I knew I was going to need soon, but they just didn't work for where I was at the moment. And honestly, I feel like that worked out pretty well for me. I think maybe I could have done a little bit better with my space management. You can kind of tell that all the pieces that are really towards like the like closest to me, they're really just kind of all stacked on top of each other. So I did spend a lot of time kind of like digging through the pieces because I didn't have them all laid out like I probably could have, should have. And even as I was doing it, I was like, I should probably spread these out. And then I proceeded to not spread them out and just kept on digging through this little pile. So, yeah. Also, you may kind of see husband's shadow going around. There was a point in time where, like, my camera battery, like, it was about to die. Something happened, and then later on like the camera was about to die, so he like came around and was trying to like plug in my camera and like do things without like bumping the table too much. So if things get weird for like a split second, it's that, but I promise you it's not the whole video this time. If you remember from when we were going over the Speed Puzzle Pal rules that they placed, you could work on the next row over as long as the column or row that you were working on was like mostly done. And so the rule technically was like you have to have at most two pieces left. And I tried my best to stick to that rule for the entire time. So sometimes you'll see me running my finger up and down the row that I'm working on because I'm trying to like count how many pieces I have left and try to see how many more pieces I need to find before I can move on. There was only once, maybe twice, where I had like three pieces missing and I just ended up moving on to the next row because I was like legitimately stuck. Like the kind of stuck where you're like, am I missing pieces? Because like I could not find what I needed. So I only did that, like I said, once, maybe twice. But other than that, I only moved on once I had no more than two pieces left in the row. In fact, there were a few times where I did have the whole row done, and that always felt like really good. Watching this back, it is pretty satisfying to watch the like pile of pieces on the left, like the gradient of the colors change. Like now it's only a bunch of like blue and purple pieces left. I think that's really satisfying. Something else that I noticed while I was working is that there would be some characters that like I would think would stick out really easily, but then like I could not find the pieces as I was working. For example, Stitch was one that I was struggling with bad. I don't know where Stitch was hiding, but I would find like, for example, Baymax, is that his name from Big Hero 6? I would see his pieces very easily. I would see like anger, etc., etc. But when I was looking for Stitch, I could not find him for the life of me. And so I had that kind of problem a couple times in the puzzle. And then doing this made me realize that I'm really
possibly quite behind with my like Disney Pixar movies because some of these characters I have no clue who they are. Like JJ the jet plane down in the green blues. Who is that? There's an airplane movie. I remember the little, I think, Italian fish boy. I'm almost certain that was Luca, I think. And then there's like some trolls. I vaguely remember this movie, but I don't think I ever actually watched it. Also, the bottom right corner, whose dog is that? Like, no, actually, what movie is that dog from? I've never seen that dog before. Anywho's, we're coming down to the last two rows, and I'll be honest, it was kind of hard not to just do both of them at the same time. But I made sure to do one row and then the other, and then I was done.
What an interesting series of events you guys just missed. So I finished the puzzle, I sat down, and then the power went out. It comes back on. We're sitting around, me and husband are sitting here looking at each other, and then the power goes out again. It did come back on, thankfully. But all of that tomfoolery, I think between my son's like sound machine turning off and on and off and on, and then like, when the power goes out, things start beeping and things. So child woke up. He's asleep now, but that was a very strange, 10 minutes there. Anywho's, my final time ended up being 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 50 seconds. Now, you may be saying, wow, that's a really good time. However, that does not include taking the puzzle out the box, flipping the pieces, and doing the border. So if I had included all of that in my time, like if I had done it more or less straight through, I feel like my time probably would have been more like an hour and a half. This challenge is tricky. You would think it would be pretty simple, especially because this puzzle is so like color blocked, but it still it still makes your brain work. Because I was trying my hardest to stick to the challenge itself and not move on from one row to the next until I had it mostly done at least, I was struggling a little bit. So 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 50 seconds for doing everything except for the border and the flipping and making sure I was doing it in the lines. I do think that if I did this again, I would probably get a better time. I know for Speed Puzzle Pals, on the challenge, they have different rules like we were talking about. And so sometimes you can do the puzzle like 3 times and then submit your best one. Sometimes it's like unlimited chances. I don't remember what it was for this puzzle, but I'm not gonna do this again. At least not in the. Can y'all hear that? It's thundering. Oh my gosh. I may do this in this format of the challenge again, but I'm not going to do it right now. And I probably will not get a chance to do it between now and Wednesday, I think is when the deadline is. So I'm just going to submit my one time and see where I end up for this little challenge. However, I do want to attempt to speed puzzle this again and just do it like normally. I think that I can get a pretty decent time, especially if I can just like group colors as I see them, do a character as I find the pieces, and just kind of move on without like being stuck on one section and having to finish this one thing. I think I can get a decent time, especially now that I've done the puzzle once, so I'm like at least fairly familiar with it. I think if I did this again, I could maybe do it in like an hour 15. That might be pushing it, but I kind of think that I could. I'm either going to reattempt this either right now, maybe, or I will do it tomorrow. I kind of have the energy to do it now, so maybe I'll try. Let me know in the comments right now. Do you think I can do this puzzle in an hour 15 or less? Do you believe in me? I believe in me. Let's try.
I went ahead and took the puzzle apart, put it back in the box, and then I reset up to do this again. And I was feeling a little sleepy, but confident. At this point, it's like 11 p.m., but I was like, if I don't do this now, I'm not going to do it. So I went ahead and got going. I did my flip, and that took me about 4 minutes. That's about average ish for me. So I was feeling like, okay, this is fine. But unlike last time where I like really nicely planned out my space and made sure I had the room to work, I absolutely did not do that this time. I just put everything out in front of me, made no space at all for me to actually like work on things. So I was just kind of like shoveling pieces around and putting things together. I was kind of like going back and forth between making piles and then also just going ahead and putting some together. Like I have a pile of like Baymax, but then I would go ahead and put like Tiana together. I put most of Merida, I think is her name, together, things like that. So I was just kind of doing whatever. I also realized that I did still kind of end up working from left to right, so kind of from like the ready oranges across to the purples. I don't know. I guess my eye was just mostly attracted to the red pieces. At some point, I kind of realized how dumb it was, like how the layout I had everything. Like it was just crazy. It was chaotic, crazy. I had sections like not anywhere near where they would, eventually end up being. So I started kind of moving my palettes around so that way they would at least be relatively close to where they would end up being once the puzzle was actually like getting put together for real. But overall, this time I was feeling really good. I one had done this puzzle just like, 15 minutes before this, so I was like kind of familiar with everything, but then also like having done it in such a like restricted fashion beforehand and then moving on to this, I felt much more free. Like I just felt like I could just do what I needed to do, and I felt like I was moving pretty decently. I was seeing a character, grabbing the pieces, either making a pile or going ahead and putting them together. Like I was getting the top order kind of done. I made it all the way up to Mickey, and I think there's only like one section left. I think it's just Rapunzel after that. So I had that mostly done. I'm slowly making my way from like the reds over to the greens. I did still have a few pieces here and there that were missing. Like I still could not figure out where the rest of Stitch was, like I couldn't the first time. But everything else was kind of coming together pretty good. At this point, I'm mostly just down to the blues and pinks and purples with a few random pieces over yonder that I was missing. But I was trying to not make the same mistake I did last time but I still kind of did because somewhere between Elsa and Dumbo and like Anna and who's underneath Dumbo? Whoever's underneath Dumbo, somewhere in there I like and Olaf. Somewhere in there I like kept getting confused. And then also with the very right side, the pink border, I had things like out of order for a second. So I was kind of like making myself confused unnecessarily, but then I was figuring out what was wrong. I was getting the pieces back where they needed to be. Me and Olaf finally were seeing eye to eye, and so I was like, okay, I only have but so many pieces left. I'm doing pretty good. I also wasn't really paying attention to the timer much this time. I guess because I'd already speed puzzled, I was just kind of like, whatever, I'll just do what I do and see what happens. But at some point, I did glance over and I was like, well, that can't be right. But I just kept moving and wanted to see, how long it would take me. I finished up with Mr. JJ the Jet Plane, whoever that is, and then I was done.
I just finished this puzzle for the second time, doing it completely normally, and y'all are not gonna believe my time because I don't believe my time. 53 minutes and 51 seconds. That is under 53 minutes and 51 seconds. That is less than an hour. This is, in fact, a 500-piece puzzle. I have literally never completed a 500-piece puzzle in less than an hour. I think I'm in shock. I went on myspeedpuzzling.com to check, and yeah, the last fastest time that I had was for the Inside Out 2. Y'all know what puzzle I'm talking about. That puzzle, my time was like an hour and 15, hour 13, something like that. 53 minutes and 51 seconds. Now, I had seen that people were getting their personal best on this puzzle, but I never did I imagine that personal best of this magnitude could be achieved. This is 20 minutes faster than the Inside Out 2 puzzle. That's amazing. So I'm feeling pretty darn good. I did put this one into myspeedpuzzling.com though, and to bring us back down a little bit, I am ranked like, I think it was 574 out of 699. Yeah. So while I am getting my personal best, other people are also getting their personal best. In fact, the fastest time was like 16 minutes and something. I'm not saying that they're lying, but I'm saying I would like to see it because 16 minutes is crazy. But anyways, 53 minutes and 51 seconds. I am ecstatic. Mind you, it's literally midnight right now. So I'm also maybe a little bit delirious or something. In fact, I literally like rubbed my eyes like a cartoon character to make sure that I wasn't like seeing things. 53 minutes and 51 seconds. I'm quite happy. I think that's all I have for you guys today. I am going to relish in this new personal best. This is one I definitely want to keep doing because if I could get this down to like 45 minutes or something, that would be crazy. Like I said, I do also think I want to try to do it the challenge way again, like the one row at a time. Y'all, that one row at a time thing, it'd be kicking my booty. But also maybe I would want to try going horizontally instead. That might be interesting. I don't know. This is definitely a puzzle that you can kind of like play around with and try out different things. So I just may do that. And practicing a puzzle that is a bit easier and one that you do really well on is good because it helps you get used to like feeling how fast your hands should be moving. So I feel like if I keep practicing this and hopefully getting my time maybe slightly lower and lower and lower, then I might really be able to start improving my times on other puzzles. So I'm very pleased. I am very pleased. That is all that I have for you for today's video. Remember that I have new videos on Wednesdays and Sundays. We go live on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. If I can find it, I'll have this puzzle linked down in my Amazon storefront. Otherwise, I'll find the link somewhere. You can check out my shop on Vinted. I actually need to post a couple puzzles, but yeah, I'll get to that. You can check out my Vinted shop. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Make sure that you're subscribed if you're not already. Like this video if you liked it, and I will see you in my next video.